Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at this crazy car racing game made in Adobe Animate CC. So let's just watch it go here and see what happens. All right, so for some reason, I was so enthusiastic about the red car winning. I'm not sure what's happening with the laptop, the volume on this laptop. We'll just try that again. Okay, for some reason you can hardly hear the car noises, but you can certainly hear the tuning at the end. And we have that little random oil slick there, like the red car just spins totally out of control. The slick comes up. Whoa, in the slick, out of control, but wins the race anyway. Okay, so let's get our hats off, glasses off, other glasses on. Oh, that's better. And let's get into Adobe Animate and get into it. All right, so to start off, we need to start a brand new ActionScript 3.0, and that's going to give us our screen there. Our canvas, a blank piece of paper. Now, our first layer here is going to be the background, so let's just click into that and we'll call it background. Now, there are some images to go with this tutorial. Let's just have a look at them quickly. Okay, some of these we can't give you because they're copyright. This Australian flag we can't give you, but you can find on Google Images. The checkered start-finish line we can give you because we made that ourselves. The racing flags, we can't give you, that might be copyright. The flag, well, you can find these on Google Images. The little, tiny little oil slick, if you can see it there, we made that, so we can give you that. The car we can't give you, but look, it's easy to find car sprites on the internet and just in Photoshop make the backgrounds clear. Then you just cut out one of these cars. Now make sure you've got the car pointing to the left, because circular motion in Adobe Animate is counterclockwise by default, and there doesn't seem to be a way to change it. So you need your car pointing to the left. So make sure you've got that. And then these racetracks we can give you. So that's the Australian one. There's also a USA one and a Japanese one. So if you wanted to extend the animation, which we didn't have time to do, you could like have sort of stage 2 USA and have the cars race again, and maybe that one's the yellow car wins, and so then Japan stage 3 is the decider, and the red car's faster, so it always has to win. Red cars go faster, remember that. Now this little flag there. There's some other car sprites here, so if you just Google for those, you can find them, cut them out in Photoshop with the cropping tool. That's a yellow car we're using. We can't give you those because they're probably copyright. And even though we're not charging and it's for education use and that, it probably could be a copyright issue, so we're not going to do that. Now with the background, we'll just file import here, and we'll import to the stage. And we'll go and just get that Australia track, which we've been using. Now, it doesn't quite fit. It's not the right size. It was actually made for a Scratch project a while ago, and we used Bezier Curve tool in Adobe Fireworks. And so if you wanted to make something like that, you can quite easily in Adobe Fireworks. If you've got the Creative Cloud, you should have Fireworks. So look, we're going to have to expand this a little. It'll go a little bit blurry, but look, that's not going to be a major drama, all right? So we're just going to expand it here to fill up the background as best we can, like that. Okay, so that's our background. Now this line that's showing here, when you do Control-Enter to run it, you're not going to see that anyway, okay? So that'll all be good. Now we need to bring in our finish line, so we'll just File, Import, and we'll just import that straight onto the stage. Grab the finish line, and then we need to get on the black arrow tool, the top tool, and just move that into position here. So that's going to be our finish line, and that's the background pretty much finished, all right? So the next layer we need, the car needs to go on a separate layer, so in the very bottom left-hand corner, click New Layer, and we'll just double-click in there, and this one's going to be the red car. Okay, and we've got a round open circle there in frame 1, the keyframe, which is ready for us to put the red car in. Okay, so with the red car, we will file import, import to stage, and bring in the red car. and move that here. Now the red car is facing the wrong way round, so if we get on our third tool down, the scale tool, and we just stretch all the way across and back again, we can make it go the right way. And we're going to have to resize it. Now it might be best to hit this zoom button here. By the way, we are in Essentials view, so Essentials view if you want this same layout we've got. And we're probably going to have to zoom in a bit. Let's just go to 200%. And we'll have to fiddle around with this until it looks a reasonable size. So all these things take a while, and then we can just grab it and put it in position there at the start line. Now, probably important at this stage, let's just go back to 100%, see how that looks. Yeah, that'll be okay. Probably important at this stage to just click on that car, and I've totally forgotten about this and haven't got my pen and paper. So just hold on a minute while I pause the video here. Because what we need to do is we need to note down this starting position. So if you click on properties, make sure you clicked on the car. There's some properties here. So the X coordinate of that red car at the start, and write this down on some paper like I am doing right now, is 60. Now the width of the car is 27.1. Let's just change that to 27 just to make it easy to do. So width of the car is 27 and the height of the car is 13. So later on when we're doing other things with the car, we'll know the start position and we'll know how big to make the car. We won't be fiddling around with the scale tool for ages to get that to happen. Okay, now I am just thinking there that maybe the car's a little bit too small. So let's make it, say 30 and 15. Oh, 30 and 16. Let's see how that looks. Okay, look, we could fiddle around. That will have to do. So we better just note that down on the paper now that that's 30 and that's 16. Okay, so we got our red car there. It's in its own layer. Now we need to make the path that the red car is going to go around the track. And how we do that is we make a brand new layer. And let's just push down the left button and move that up the layer stack so it's at the top. Double click in it. And this is the red car path. Now, from the shape of the track, you might be thinking that the ideal tool to draw this path would be hold down on the rectangle and use the rectangle primitive tool. And we're just going to set that pencil to red and the fill color to no color. Because with the rectangle primitive, you can do rounded rectangles. So we can like draw a rectangle like this, and then we can just round off the corners. So we could kind of have the car drive along this rounded rectangle path. Unfortunately, there's another step we have to do, which is get the eraser tool and rub out part of that so that it's not continuous. It has a start point and a finish point because a Motion Tween needs that. And believe it or not, the eraser does not work on rounded rectangles, okay? So I've Googled this and looked into it, and the forums all seem to say for some reason it doesn't work on those. So we'll just have to press delete and scrap that. And we're going to have to use the normal oval tool. So on the oval tool, not the primitive, but the normal oval tool. Pencil is red, paint bucket is, you know, that no fill color, which is up near the rainbow color wheel there. And the size is 1.0. So we're just going to sort of push down our left mouse and just go diagonally down the page. So we're sort of going diagonally corner to corner here. And we're making a ellipse or an oval shape that the car's going to travel along eventually. And we need to move that onto the car. Now, if it's not quite the right size, you can go third tool down the scale tool while it's selected there, and you can kind of resize it a bit. So, because remember, we've got to have room for the yellow car to drive around the inside. Okay, so that's not too bad. Now, later on, you can bend this shape, but we won't do that at the moment. We'll just leave it like that. Okay, now here's the really cool thing you can do with Animate that you couldn't do with Flash. With Flash, when we animated this thing, we had to sort of do quarter circles, start off with a straight line, and then mess around bending the quarter circles to get it to work. But in Animate, there's this really cool thing you can do. So you go back to the red car layer and click in frame 1 there, and you go Insert and Motion Tween. And now it can't be tweened, you must convert it to a symbol. All right, this is good in Animate. It tells you if you've forgotten to do something. So we'll just go Control Z and get on the black arrow tool, select the car. We forgot to right click on the car and you need to go convert to symbol. All right, and it needs to be a graphic symbol. And this is just going to be called red car. So it's all right if you forget to do this step, which I wanted to show you there. Sort of Animate reminds you anyway. On the registration, it might be hard to see, but put that little dot in the middle of the box there. So we're going graphic red car, middle of the box for the registration. We say OK. All right, now if we click in frame 1 for that car, we should be able to go insert motion tween and it's going to work OK. But whoa, where's the racetrack gone? We've lost the racetrack. That's okay. Look down on the timeline here with the background to make it extend to the end of where we've done this motion tween that goes up to 24 because we're doing a 24 frames per second animation. If you just click in there and press F6 or function F6 if you've got a laptop, and that's just going to copy that background track so it's still hanging around at number 24. Okay, this is important. Make sure you take the slider back to frame 1, back to frame number 1, and we're going to then click on our red path, and with the black arrow tool, just make sure it's selected so it's kind of all white line dotty so you know it's selected. And we're actually going to cut this from that layer. So we're going to go Edit up the top there and go Cut. And then we're going down onto the red car layer here in number 1. And we're going to go Edit, Paste in place, paste in the same place. Now, again, we're going to get an error message here. The object you're trying to paste cannot be interpreted as a path, only strokes with end points. All right, so that's an important thing. Just wanted to show you that. That even though that seemed okay, let's Control Z back here. So we'll just Control Z back a few steps so we've got the red car path again. This is a continuous path which the car is going to go around, but we actually have to have a start point and an end point for the motion tween. So you need to get onto your eraser tool, and then with the eraser tool here you need to go to, now there's a problem with our red path because it's not going over the car, but we'll fix that in a minute. All right, so we just erase a little bit out of that. All right, so if you look at it now, if you get on the black arrow tool and click on it, see how there's a little gap? Now it's going to have a start point and an end point, okay, but it's not lining up with the car. So let's just get on the scale tool and scale it back a bit. So yeah, it does pass through the car now. So that's all going to be good. So onto the black arrow tool, select that guy, go back and repeat what we were just going to do. Edit, Cut. And then we go down into the first frame of the red car animation and we go Edit, Paste in place. So it gets pasted in the same place. And whoa, look at that, magic. That's the magic in Adobe Animate, that we now have our circular path for the car to go around. So if we press Enter, it's going to go around. But hang on, if you have a close look at that, there's a bit of a problem because it's sort of going around front ways and it goes around back ways. So if you drag it, look, it's going okay, but then it's always just pointing to the left of screen. All right, that's easily fixed. If you're clicked onto the motion path, make sure you're on Properties, not on Library, but if you're on Properties here, there's a little thing called Orient to Path. So that'll orientate it to the path, so you need to make sure that's clicked. Once that's clicked, the car will keep pointing in the direction of the path. Okay, if we pull the timeline scrubber, the red thing slowly there, you can see that. So that's going to make it follow around the path. All right, so that's nice. Okay, so now we need to repeat those same steps for the yellow car. Okay, so we're just going to pause the video while we do that, and we'll talk about what we've done when we get back, okay? And you just can do the same thing. You repeat the same steps for the yellow car. Okay, so what we've done is repeated the steps for the yellow car. So we imported the yellow car onto the stage, Then we use the third tool down to resize it to get it the same size as the red car. Now we've noted down that the yellow car is starting at 242.81 for its X and Y coordinates, and its width is 36 and its height's 20. So I've written that down in case we need to refer to it later on. Then what we did was we right-clicked on the car and we did the convert, well, it won't show it now because I've already done it, but we converted it to a symbol and made it a graphic symbol and put the registration in the center. Then we made a yellow car path layer. We drew our red circle on that layer, our red oval shaped. And then we use the eraser tool, remember to make a little gap in that so it has a start and an end point. And then we're able to edit, cut, and then edit, paste in place to get that on here. And if we press enter right now, you can see that the cars will do one lap. All right, so we want more than a one lap race. So the next thing is to do some copying and pasting. Now how you do that is if you go on the red car, there's a really nice way to do it. If you're just in the first frame here, then hold down your shift key and click in the last frame at 24. And that's going to select all of those frames from 1 to 24. Now, just like you would in Photoshop to copy things, you can hold down the Alt key. So if you hold down the Alt key, you can drag that across and have it come across to repeat. And again, we've lost our background, but that's no problem. We just go to where the end of this Motion Tween is and do function F6 on our laptop, or you might just be doing F6 on your PC to make that background hang around long enough. And then we just need to copy the yellow car. So we just click in the first frame of the yellow car, hold down the shift key of our left hand, the shift key, and then click in the last one, then take our finger off the shift key and hold down the Alt key, and then we can drag that here on the layers and copy that, and we've got another copy. So now we've got something which will do 2 laps. All right, now we need to introduce this variation because we're going to have on this second lap that as the car's sort of coming round, we're going to have that oil slick appear. So in the layers, we've got the excuse me, we've got the yellow car path here. So we've finished using that. So we can just double click it and let's just rename it. That's going to be the oil slick. Okay, so that's our oil slick. And we've positioned the playhead where we want it. So click in that particular frame on the timeline. Then up the top, you need to go insert timeline and put in a blank keyframe, which will give us a round circle now down in the timeline. And we'll just file import and just import it straight onto the stage, get our oil slick and bring it in, and then we can just move that oil slick up into position there where the red car is going to run into it. Okay, so the oil slick's going to be there. Now the oil slick's disappearing, so let's just go to the end here, click in the last frame for the oil slick and press function and F6 or F6 on your computer to copy it. Okay, now the oil is on top of the car, which isn't the way things work. So in the layers here, we're going to have to click on the oil slick layer, hold down our left mouse button and move it down so it's just above the background and under the red car. That way the oil will be underneath the car. Okay, now once the car hits the oil like this, we're just going to do a little bit of frame by frame animation. And also at this stage, you might be wondering, well, the 2 cars go around together and the red car does get in front, but they always finish together, like nobody wins. So we're going to adjust that later on as well. But first thing we're going to work on is in the red car layer. Now we need another red car to continue in exactly the same position, exactly the same size. That's why we wrote down those coordinates and width and height earlier on. So in this next frame along here, this empty one, we're just going to go up the top and go insert timeline, a blank keyframe, and then we're going to file import and just import it straight onto the stage. And no, actually we won't do it that way because we'll go to the library instead, because remember this red car, we don't want the GIF file, we want the red car that's the graphic symbol. So see how one's a GIF? That's the original one that we can't motion tween. We actually want the graphics symbol one so that later on we can do tweening if we need to. So we're just going to drag that out onto the stage and flick over to properties here, and on the properties of that, it's got that it's 30 by 16, and that's the exact size we need because it remembered that size when we converted it to a graphic symbol, so that's all good. Now we need to put it at the position, so the position for the start was 242, that's what we wrote down, and y equals 60, so we need to put that in. All right, so that should position it the right place. Now we need our whole background to hang around for a while, so let's just do that. So we need the oil slick hanging around for a while here, and we need the background. So let's just go up to frame 56 here and press function F6, and let's do the background so it stays around that long as well. Okay, so we're just using F6 to copy them. So we've got that there, we've got our red car. Now our red car at that point has actually gone past the oil slick, so there it's on the oil slick. Here it's a bit past the oil slick, so let's carefully move it so it's still in the oil slick. And then if we zoom in here, we better zoom in a bit to work on this, and go to the third tool down, the free transform. The idea is to just make that car do some wild spins. Now we're going to do frame by frame animation, so down in the red car layer here, just press function F6 again to copy it, and we'll just have it spin out a bit more, and then move across a bit as well, and then we'll go to the next frame and do function F6 to copy it, so it's kind of skidding across there. If you get near the corner of it, you get the turnaround symbol so you can spin it round, and then we'll just do function F6 again. This time it's moving a bit that way, and the guy's trying to straighten back up, and then we'll do F6 again to copy it and kind of get him a bit straighter. There may be one more function F6 there, and here we'll kind of have that he's straightened out again. Okay, so that's just going to, he comes around, he's going to hit that slick and go into a bit of a spin. And now after that, we're ready to do the next lap. And so on the next lap, if we just copy one of our existing ones, so we'll just go shift, and now the car is back at the start, but we'll move that along a bit. And we'll just hold down shift and get to this last one here. And then if we put our finger on Alt again, we can copy that across. Okay, and we better make do a bit of F6 copying of the background. And the oil slick, we don't need it to stay around the whole time. Like once he's finished spinning out and that, maybe the oil slick's evaporated by then. Perhaps we'll just sort of do one more function F6 here. Okay, so the slick's sort of hanging around. Need to be on the slick layer to do that. Wasn't clicked into the slick layer, a bit careless there. It's been a long day. I'm making this video at the end of the day, which isn't actually the best time to do things, but we'll see how we go. All right, so what we've got is red car's coming around. Let's get on the black arrow tool so you can see it a bit better. If we're just dragging this red one in the timeline to do this, so it's coming around, it's hitting the oil slick, whoa, big spin, and then it kind of jumps back a bit, which isn't so good just there. So we need to find out what were its coordinates here, or maybe we can do it by eye. It's kind of up near the end of the thing there. So if we go onto here and get on the black arrow tool, you can actually move things. So I'm going to kind of move that along a bit because we estimated he was kind of up in there. And I think we can grab the end of that too and kind of move it along. And you can also bend it. So this is where we wanted to, if you move near this motion path, you can actually see where you get the kind of turner, the sort of round arc kind of shape on the arrow. If you push down your left mouse button there, you can bend things. So we're going to kind of make this guy drive really crazy here because he's still got those the oil on his tires in this third lap. So he's going to be just spinning all over the place here and driving quite erratically because we've still got all of the oil there. So we're just moving things around to make a bit of an interesting path. All right, so what's happening now is that he's coming round, gets in the second lap, hits that oil slick, spins out, and then he's back on his way again, but he's kind of a bit all over the track as he goes. All right, and the last thing we did, I think, on this was that we also went back to the start of that motion tween for the third lap on the red car. And what we did was we went to, instead of Orient, we've got Orient to path clicked over here in the properties, but we kind of did a rotation and we said, let's make him spin round 5 times. Now, when you do that, it kind of turns off Orient to path, but it's still okay. It's going to follow the path. It's just that he's spinning all over the place while he's driving until he reaches that finish line, okay? And then once he reaches the finish line, we're just doing some function F6s here to just move him along a bit. Function F6 again. Oh, no, it doesn't like that because I'm extending the motion tween. Okay, so I might just Control Z back. What we need to do is to insert a keyframe there and mess around with the size, kind of like we did here where it was like spinning out. But anyway, let's just leave that for now. And let's get on to the yellow car because we haven't done anything with the yellow car. All right, so the yellow car needs to do another lap. So if we go to the yellow car layer, see how in 25 the dot's a little bit bigger if you look carefully at that? If we just hold that down and go to the end, holding shift down, clicking that end one, then put our finger on Alt to hold the Alt key down, we can copy that across and that'll get our yellow car coming round. And so the yellow car's coming round and it looks like it's going to win at the moment. So we need to stop that. Now, how do we stop that from happening? Because we want the red car to win, because red cars are fast cars. How you stop that happening is you get to the end of the yellow car one, and you can get some double arrows if you're just moving your mouse there without the button pressed down. Then you press down the button, and you kind of stretch this tween out. And I think what that will do, that should have the effect. Oh, the car's stayed in the oil too much. Come on, red boy, catch up. No, red guy's not going to catch up, is he? He is. He just catches up at the end, okay? So we've just made him win just by a fraction. It's going to be almost a photo finish on that. Okay, so we got all that. Now, when the red car hits that, that's when we want that checkered flag to appear. Okay, so we've got the checkered flag. And look, we were going to show you that in Photoshop, how to take the background out. But we'll just see how long the video's gone for so far, because we didn't want to make this too long, all right? So just hang on while we pause the video. Okay, so we're at 28 minutes, so we better get a wiggle on. What we've done is we've gone into Google Images and we've just looked for checkered flags, and this one here is quite good. So we clicked on it, we've got this. Now, if you get the Windows snipping tool, you can just go New, and because you're just doing this for education purposes, here in Australia, this is not a breach of copyright, is my understanding. So with the snipping tool, you just snip around it. Just look up a YouTube video on the snipping tool if you've never used this before. You go Edit Copy, and then in Photoshop, if you go File New, Photoshop will know here, 758 and 502, how big it is. So you just go Create. It'll create a blank canvas. Just Control V or go Edit Paste from Photoshop, and it'll be in there. Now, if you look in the layers on the right-hand side, we got 2 layers, this layer in the background. All you need to do is click on the padlock for the background to unlock it, and then this bottom layer, just go down the bottom here, bottom right-hand corner, there's a trash can that, delete it, yes, and then we need to get onto our magic wand tool, which is the 3rd one down. Magic wand that whole area, press the delete key on your computer, do the bottom part, press delete. Okay, then Control D to deselect. Now, if you save this, as long as you save it as a PNG file, so it stays see-through, PNG or GIF, but PNG, and then you can just save that and it will be saved, give it a name and stuff and save it, and it'll be okay. It'll be right to use, it'll be see-through and clear. So that's what we did to get our checkered flag. So back in Animate here, let's just go File, Import, and Okay, what am I doing? First I need to make a layer. Bottom left-hand corner, click to make a new layer, and this is going to be the flags. Okay, so as soon as that red car hits the finish line right here is where we need to insert a timeline blank keyframe where the flags are going to go, and then we need to file, import, import to stage, find those flags we've saved and go open. That'll bring them in. They're a little bit big, so third tool down, the scale tool, just scale them back a bit, and they're going to appear there, okay? And then we just have our rectangle tool. I'm actually going to use the rectangle primitive one for this and have no pencil, so no color on the pencil, a black background, and we're going to, now let me think about this. Actually, we need to draw a gray one first. We're going to have a shadow. We're going to go fancy here, so we're going to go gray, and we're drawing the gray one first here. So we're having one like that first. And then with the black arrow tool, we're holding down Alt to make a copy of it like this. And then on the copy one, on the paint bucket color, we're changing it from gray to black. And then we can just use our arrow keys to move it into position. So we're just trying to be a little fancy there and have a little gray shadow under it as well. So on that one, get onto the text tool, the letter T, and for that we want 20 point is the size. We want bright red coloring, and we just are going to use Microsoft Sans Serif for the font there, and we're just going to have red car wins. Okay, I think we did red car, then shift enter to get on a new line, wins, couple of exclamation marks. Get on your black arrow tool and you can move that into position. So that's going to be our ending message, okay? So we need to make all these things hang around for a while. So with the flags, if we just do a few function F6s here to make them last a while, and if we do the message, what layer if we put the message on? That's interesting because I should have done a new separate layer for it, but I was really rushing things. Now let's see what layer it's on. Hopefully it's not on the car layer. I've put on the background layer. So, well, that's okay actually for this because it's not coming up till the end. But yeah, look, we should have probably made that on its own separate layer. Okay, so we've got all that hanging around for a while. Our cars aren't sitting there, so we've got to get our cars and know what positions they're at. So it's a little bit of messing around, but basically you just kind of do a bit more frame by frame, so the red car will move further along and the yellow car can just stay there where it is just by having a new keyframe and putting one the same size in the exact location as that one is. Okay, so you can do all that. We're running out of time, so we won't do that because we need to do the sound still, but let's just press yeah, let's just do the sounds. So for the sounds, we need to make a new layer, and we'll just put this up the top. So we've got car sounds, and we've got a blank keyframe there, and so we click in that. Now for the sounds, where we got those from is from Freesound. So freesound.org, not .com.org. Now you can register for free, and I've registered with my email, and I haven't been spammed with lots of email, and nothing bad's happened. I did this like a month or more ago, and it's all good. So it seems to be a legit site. Now for the car racing, if you search on car racing, this Long Beach Indy one's really good, but it's too loud. You can't hear the applause later over the top. So we actually had to go to page 2, and the one we've used off page 2 is one by Tito, if we can find that here. Where are you? Here, Tito LaHaye. So this one here, if you press the play button, I'm not sure, Camtasia running the laptop doesn't want to play that fast. But anyway, that's the car racing. It's racingcarv.wav by Tito. And for the other one, for the crowd applause, this one by Jesse Pash. This one, crowd yay applause. So if you search for crowd yay applause, that's nice and loud, and that goes over the top. So how you do all this in Animate is, first we have the car sound, so we just file, import, and we'll import this into the library. So import to library, and we're just going to get the car racing sound by Tito, bring that in. If we go to our library, it's in there. Now, the thing is, you think, okay, here's the open keyframe. Do I just drag it down here to put it on the layer? And there's a no can do symbol, and you think, oh no, it won't go in there. Maybe it's the wrong file type. It's not that at all. You just have to drag it out and put it on the stage, and then it puts it in here, okay? And runs it up to the end. So again, I'm not too sure what's wrong with the sound on the PC, on the laptop. Hopefully it's going to come out all right on the actual thing. So again, we just clicked in the bottom right-hand corner, made a new layer. So here's where we need the applause. And we need the applause coming in right as soon as that checkered flag appears. So right here. So on the applause one, just go to that point in the timeline, insert timeline, blank keyframe, and then file, import. And we need to import, let's just import it straight onto the stage this time, the crowd cheers. And they'll go in there and we'll have that sound. Okay, so let's just play it. All right, now the crowd noise is going off scale. I'm not sure why that's happening. I think it's something to do with Camtasia. But look, the crowd noise cuts out too quick. So you actually have to extend this animation quite a bit till you get the full crowd noise sound, and just repeat the finish. Like just F6, the flags and the message in the background, and have the cars sitting there until the applause dies down. So if we just do Control Enter, okay, the crowd on my recording here is absolutely crazy, but look, it's a bit of fiddling around and then you can get it all to happen. So look, hopefully you've enjoyed this and learned some interesting things out of it that are going to be useful for you. Sorry it took so long to do, but you've seen how to do it and it should all be good. And so until next time, have fun with Adobe Animate CC.